Okay, on Daf Mem Gimel Lamed Beis, we're actually starting from the Mishnah I'd like to start with, from Mem Beis and Mem Gimel Lamed Aleph, 43a, just to keep the flow of things. Okay, so we're going to start from 42, 42b, thank you. 43a, I'm all confused here. Mem Gimel Lamed Aleph. 43a on the bottom of the Mishnah. I just want to go back to the Mishnah again just to review it, because otherwise we're going to jump right into, let's say, complex, but you have to remember the Mishnah. Before I can't beat Alan's inspirational story. Those who missed it, it's a great story. I have to ask Alan in person. But it's a good one, better than this one, but this is also a good one. It's a story from our Brisky. Brisky, I think I'm pronouncing the name correctly. He tells a story about two brothers who were Holocaust survivors. They're from a large family of about 9 children, I think it was. They were the survivors. They each, after the Holocaust, they stayed close, but in heart, not necessarily in person. One went to London, and one went to Buenos Aires. I believe it was, I forgot their name. One was named Jacob, another one was more of a Yiddish name. The one who went to stay in London was true to his tradition. He remained religious and kept mitzvahs, etc. The one who went to Buenos Aires was not religious. He strayed from religion. They both got married, started families, started their lives over. In 1965, which was 20 years, 21 years after the war, right? So they must have a family already. The brother from Buenos Aires calls his brother up, which is a big deal in 1965 to call from Buenos Aires to London, I imagine. Long distance phone call, probably a fortune every minute. Yes. Not like today. I remember when you got charged for when I was a little kid. And my father would look over the long distance phone bill. Oh, now I don't do that anymore. Baruch Hashem. So he invited his brother to come to bring his whole family from London to Buenos Aires. They hadn't seen each other in many years. Well, the families to meet. The brother in London said, "Listen, I really want to come to see you, but it's not like I'm coming for a day or two. I'm bringing the whole family. I'm there for Shabbos. I need shul and kosher food." He said, "No problem. It's an Orthodox shul on my block. I took everything. There's stores here that sell kosher food. Everything's taken care of. What will make you comfortable and happy, and all your needs will be provided for." I remember, I haven't forgotten how to be religious. I just don't practice it. So they fly out, they come, they have a very nice time together. And the brothers are talking, and the one from London tells the brother from Buenos Aires, I think it's time to make a matzeva for our parents. Matzeva, like the tombstone or memorial stone, whatever, for this. So it's funny, they died in Auschwitz. They're cremated in a crematorium. They're nowhere around. They can't really put up if you're intending to go back to Auschwitz, he said, "I'm not going back to going there." He said, no, we're not going to Auschwitz. Come with me. I want to show you what kind of matzeva I have in mind. What kind of memorial I have for my parents. He goes out of the room. He pulls out his tefillin. He says, these. He takes them and puts them puts on his arm and on his hand. He said, this is the matzeva for our parents. This is what I want to be the memorial. It's not a physical one. It's a spiritual matzeva. I want you to start putting on tefillin. He was very touched. Off the one from Buenos Aires, who's no longer religious. He took his tefillin. He showed him, "I want you to take this tefillin. I want you to start wearing tefillin." He agreed. He was very touched by it. He said, "Yeah, you're right." Started putting on tefillin, and the family came back, became religious. So it was a very interesting story that sometimes, there are good habits we develop and bad habits we develop. Yeah. Sometimes we kind of just go down a certain path to that. But if you set your path on the correct way, you can go there. This brother in London decided he was going to go a certain path, and he continued. One in Buenos Aires was kind of veered on the path that was in front of him. But if you choose the correct path and have in mind to do the right things, you can accomplish great things. For example, Alan, son's Brad, who had a a charity organization. They planned a very small thing, but they went down the correct path. By the time is signing also. Person comes to do good things, Hashem doesn't allow them, he helps them. So, Mirz Hashem, by trying to do good things, Hashem should help us as well. Okay, so that is the inspirational story for today. I even included your, because I liked it so much. Okay, so we're really on Naf Mem Gimel Amid Beis. We're going to start with the Mishnah on Mem Gimel Aleph just to get the flow. Maybe I'll just say it outside a little bit. I'll say it inside a little bit. It's the whole Mishnah. The Mishnah said the following: Amalba, the very beginning, Amalba's Chavero al Mashkon. A person lends his friend with a collateral. He gives him a collateral. The lender takes a collateral. But Hamashkon. And then he loses the collateral. Joseph is joining us. I'm just going to put him in here. I put him in. There he is. Okay. Morning, Joseph. Joe, good to see you. Or hear you. I'm in trouble connecting. Okay. So the Mishnah is that a person lends his friend, the lender lends the borrower, and the lender takes the collateral, and then he loses the collateral. And there's a discussion about the value of this collateral. How much is the collateral worth? The lender says it was worth, for example, let's just put it into real numbers. He says it's 200, and the borrower he says it was worth. I lent you 200, and the collateral was 100, so I lost the collateral, so I'm owed 100, and the borrower says no, it was 100. You borrowed 100, and the collateral was 100, so I don't owe you anything. So he's denying owing anything. Since he denies the claim at all entirely, there's no partial admittance, there's no modem mixus, and he gets off the hook. He doesn't have to pay. The second case is where it's the same situation, except instead of claiming, the borrower doesn't claim that the collateral is 100 and I borrowed 100, so I'm off the hook because you lost the collateral. He says, no, collateral is was let's say it was 3 dinars, so 75, let's say, and so therefore I owe only 25. I don't owe you 50, whatever the case. It's a partial admittance. If there's a partial admittance, then it's owed like that. The second group of cases is the same thing except reversed. It's the lova is doing the talking. It's the borrower. He says, I borrowed 100, but the collateral you lost was worth 200. So you still owe me, you, Mr. Lender, you owe me 100. And he claims, no, they were equal. The collateral and the loan were equal. In the second case, the last case of the Mishnah, is a case where the borrower says, I borrowed 100, the collateral was 200, you lost the collateral, so you owe me 100. The fellow admits, no, the collateral was only 150, for example. I'm trying to get it back. It's 5 dinar, which is like 5/8 of the amount. So without getting to the exact numbers, but let's say it was 200, and then he says, I think it would be 75. Okay, I'm not doing the math properly, but so 5/8. Yeah, so
Fractions are set now.
yeah.
Quarters.
Yeah, so yeah. Okay, I lost in the shuffle the numbers. Yeah. So he admits partially, so then he'd have to pay. And the last statement of the Mishnah is mim nishba mishum pikadu letzlo. The person is seems like the lender. He's holding on to the money. He's the one who takes the oath. Okay, that's the case. So let's flip now to where we are. Mem Gimel Amid Beis on the top. Okay. So the Gemara says as follows. Drink here. Like no
shvur. Differential between them, there is a shvur.
Right, exactly. If he's no differential, he's denying the whole claim. If you deny the whole thing, you don't have the shvur, right? So the first word in the Mishnah is haya. On what is this going? This last statement of the Mishnah that said, who swears? The malva, the loaner, the lender swears. So we had 4 cases in the Mishnah. Which is it going on? Well, obviously it's going on the one who has to swear. The first case number 1 and case number 3, he's denying the whole thing. No one has to swear. It's either 2 or 4. So which case did? So the Gemara continues. Ilema seifa. if we say it's going on the last case in the Mishnah, typically the shvur gabe malva. Well, we already know the malva, the loaner, is the one, the lender, correct, right word. The lender is the one who who's claiming that he does not owe as much as the borrower says. The borrower said collateral is twice as much as the loan, 200. And he's saying, no, it wasn't, I owe you 100, I only owe 75, let's say. So obviously in that case, it's the lender who has to take the oath. Why does the Mishnah have to point that out? Obviously it's the case. So what is it referring to? Which of the cases is it referring to? When it says that, Amr Shmuel Aresha. Shmuel says it's referring to the Resha. We'll see the second case in the first part of the Mishnah. And so said Rabbi Chia bar Rav Aresha, going on the first part of the Mishnah. Yochanan Aresha. So said Rav Yochanan, it's going on Amr Rav Yochanan on the Resha. It's also going on the Resha. The insight, the chiddush in that is that it's said at the very end, so you might think it's referring to the end of the Mishnah. They say, no, it doesn't make sense to go to the Mishnah, it must be going to the beginning of the Mishnah. But which part of the Mishnah? My Resha, what does it mean, the Resha? Seifa the Resha, the second of the first two cases, which is Sela Hivisicha, it's a quote from Mishnah, this case. Sel Hivisicha love, the Shekel Hayeshava. I lent you, says the lender, I lent you 100 a sela, and the shekel hayeshava, and the collateral you gave me was worth half that much. For argument's sake, let's call 150. He says 50. So the lender says, yeah, I may have lost your collateral, but you still owe me half of that, 50. The lower and the borrower says, lo, ki ala sela hivisani, love, the shlosha dinar in hayeshava. And he says, no, I borrowed a seller from you, let's say 100, and it was worth, the collateral was worth 75, let's say, and I owe you 25, so he's partially admitting. Then chayav, then he is responsible to take an oath because he's partially admitting. The borrower says 100 is owed, and the lender says he's owed 100, and the borrower says he only has to pay him 75 versus 25. Not partial admittance here. I got lost in the math, the sellers, etc. Why is he? So that's the case it's talking about. Because who would have to take the oath there? The person who's partially denying, and partially admitting, would be the lova, the borrower. Why the shvua gabe lova he? Because in that case, the oath is the one who's partially admitting is the lova, the borrower. The shaklua rabbanan, and the rabbis take the oath me lova, not milva, me lova from the borrower, the shayuha amalva, and they place it on the lender, and place it on the lender. That's a good place to put the comma there. Why? Because as we said, there was a reason why. In this case, the lender says, you owe me 200. I lent you 200, the collateral that I lost is worth 100, we still have 100 shekel, whatever you want to call it, a dinar, let's call it 100, make it easier. You still owe me 100. And the borrower says, no, the collateral is only worth the 150, whatever it is, and I only owe 50. So he's admitting that he owes, but not to the full amount. So obviously the borrower is the one who has to swear in that case. So the Mishnah says, wait, we don't want to make the borrower swear, because maybe this lender is a little bit of a tricky guy. He's still holding on to the collateral. He says he lost it, but he's there. He's going to pull it out, and we'll see that the borrower wasn't careful, that's like Rashi says, and he's going to swear falsely, and he's going to lose his ability he's going to be a false witness. He's going to lose his status as being a kosher witness.
Is all this taken in front of the base din, or is it taken between the two people themselves?
Doesn't say specifically that's in front of
Because
Bezdin.
if the borrower says it's worth
no,
X, and the lender says it's worth X minus, is there an arbitrator to
No, you're right. We're all talking about Shavuos Hadayon. Correct. This is in front of the Bezdin, and as Rashi points out, he's going to lose his kashrus. So this is talking in Bezdin, but be in Bezdin because yes, that's the flow. Rashi seems to point that out a few times here. It's talking about Bezdin, in court. Yeah.
So there must be an arbitrator in court to distinguish how much the collateral was worth. If it's a utensil, money they can't.
Well,
But I'm just saying.
yeah, in theory, the problem is that he claims that it was lost.
Yeah.
And they made the loan without consulting anybody to start.
Yeah.
So we're going to see, we're just starting, we're just like starting to get the picture here. We'll see soon that we'll talk about when the collateral was given, and we'll talk about how much they had in mind when they gave the collateral, what was the intention with the collateral. There's a lot of factors here that are just starting to appear as we go on here. Okay, before I even go to the next step in the Gemara, I wanted to point out something. We're not up to that yet, but point out something interesting. We're saying here, just keep this little detail in mind, that all the cases in the Mishnah, the borrower, sorry, the lender, the lender took a collateral that wasn't worth as much, or perhaps more. In the first two cases in the Mishnah, he took a collateral that was half as much as the loan. The second half of the Mishnah, he took a collateral that was twice as much as the loan. And we assume that the collateral is only against the actual amount of the loan. If the loan was 100 and he gave him a collateral of 50, it only cancels out 50 of the loan if it gets lost. If he has a collateral of 200 and the loan was for 100, that would cancel as it gets lost, for example. The collateral would only cancel out the loan plus its value. They're not equal if they're not equal. In other words, your collateral is not equal to my loan necessarily, but we'll see very soon in a few lines. I'm ahead of the game here. That's a question. The question. Perhaps when a person gives a collateral, accepting it as full compensation for the item, because he's accepting it. It's like perhaps security, perhaps it's a reminder. Well, there's a lot more to discuss about a mashkon, about a collateral. What's the purpose of a mashkon? We'll see as we go on. Yes.
The idea of the collateral security for the lender priced into the depending on
Right.
This value is collateral is.
Right.
Take more.
Right.
Whatever it is, there's a shortfall, there's a gain.
Right.
The parties are aware of it.
Right. Right. That's a good point. That would probably be the mindset of the lender. If it's a good friend, people don't lend without. We haven't discussed until now lending without collaterals.
A good friend. It doesn't matter whether the collateral is underneath the value of the loan or above the value. Because in the end, it's all about security.
Yeah.
It's all about I have security. So even when we give a security deposit, okay, it's usually standard amount, maybe whatever, once rent. Okay, sometimes people want more.
Right.
But it could be that when the person walks out of the place, there's no damage and he gets his money back. It could be that the guy just, had a bout with the locals, and he trashed the place, and he's, 10 times worth the damage. And I'm not paying you, I gave you collateral, you take care of it.
The problem is if the collateral's lost, then that's the problem.
Oh, okay.
Then that's
So
the
that's
problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
there.
Or less
Right.
than the lender's giving him.
Well, no, here what we're talking about is the arguing about the value of the collateral. How much the thing is actually worth.
Right. Yeah.
It's not how much I'm being compensated for, or how much I'm responsible for. It's how much this thing is worth, and from there, then we can decide. Then how much money.
Right. Well, that's the starting point, but then they go further into the negotiation without items. So the moral of the story is always make sure you have item when you do. That's part of the story. Yeah. The Gemara doesn't have to talk about cases where they're, but there's contracts and Adam, and he gave over his contract to Bezdin, and Bezdin was certified in Bezdin, and took a star to Bezdin, but it's holding on to a star. No, it's when the guys who go pay lend and pay up in front of each just by themselves. That's when they start getting in trouble. Okay, so we're continuing the Gemara. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines down. Okay, so we assume like this so far. The first line is Vahashta. We assume now they're saying that who takes the loan? The love, the borrower, is claiming that he owes money, but not as much as the lender says, and we say so. We make the borrower, the lender, take the loan because we're worried about maybe he didn't really lose it. And he's going to take it out. The person could be postulated, right? We see this concept of switching sides when it comes to oaths. We're going to see more about that later. So the question is like this. So now we say the chiddush is the novelty, even though the borrower is the one who's admitting partially, the lender is the one who has to take that. Okay, fine. But you say Bahashta, the Amar Rav Ashi, the Kaim Alon, but now that Rav Ashi said that we hold Zen Nishba Sheina Barishu. So what do we do in such a case when the collateral is lost? Zen Nishba, where he claims the collateral is lost, the lender claims the collateral is lost. Zen Nishba Sheina Barishu. So the lender, the Malva, says, he says, Sheina Barishu. So he takes an oath that he's not holding on to it, it's lost. Zen Nishba Kamashava, and the borrower, who's the original owner of the collateral, takes an oath how much it's worth. So before we even continue, let's explain that. Rashi says that there was a takana made that there's concern that the person who's the lender might like the collateral. That's nice. And he's going to claim that he wants to buy it. This is a great way to do it. So he claims it's lost. And I'll give you back the money that it's owed. It's worth 100 shekel, no problem. And yeah, easy sale. Yeah, it's happened once. Yeah, as Rashi says, "V'harav Ashi b'mitzia v'perakamav k'dam Rav Huna." Rav Huna says, "Hasam gabe shomer sachar, a case of shomer sachar, shatan shen nignava." He says it's stolen. The chayev atzma b'teshlum, and he doesn't swear. A paid watchman has to pay up. He can't swear. Mashbiyan also shvua, but we make him swear. She'eno b'reshuso, that he's not holding on still. Chayshin and shem enam nasam ba v'rotza l'knosa b'damim. He didn't make sure he's not pulling along. So what do? We make both of them swear. We make the guy swear, the lender swear that he's not holding on to it. He's not, really wants this item. And we make the borrower swear that the value of it. So if that's the case, the Gemara is saying, that's the case that both of them are swearing. So what does it mean? What's the chiddush of the Mishnah? That, the person who borrows, the borrower has to take an oath. Of course the borrower has to. Of course the lender has to take an oath. Everyone has to take an oath here. What's it telling us? What's it telling us? Everyone has to take an oath according to the way we hold. So what's the chiddush? So we continue. This is what the Mishnah say. Mi nishbat chila. Who's the one who has to take the oath first? There's two oaths, as we know. The oath that the lender has to say that he's not holding on to this, that he's not going to take it. It's not his. And the borrower takes an oath that how much it's worth. So we're just saying who takes the oath first. Me should be caught as slow. Now, one is holding on to or should be holding on to the kadam, which is the mashkon, which is the lender. Why? As Mishnah said, Shama yish bazev yotzi halas bikadam. I worry he's going to pull it out, and it's going to be the borrower took an inaccurate oath, and then he's going to lose his kashrus. He's not going to be a kosher aid anymore. So we make him take his oath to prevent him from taking it out. Takes a real shua. Be derabanan, but take a real shua that he has to swear that he's not holding on to it. Prevent that from happening. That's the case. That's what the Mishnah is coming to tell us.
What's the amount
of who swears first?
Is that whoever swears first or has an obligation to swear first? If he's Yirat Shemayim Yid, he will not swear.
Right.
Which means that he will pay. Which means the other guy doesn't have to swear, and therefore, in other words, the case closed on him.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever the borrower.
So that's tremendous.
It is tremendous. Yeah. Yeah. The moral of the story is don't get yourself in the court in the first place. And if you get into court, you're not supposed to swear. So we're having a lot of like b'diavad situations here. They did a very poor case of borrowing in the first place, and then they're willing to swear. That's also, yeah. Yeah, but you're correct. If this is a situation, the ideal thing with their Yiras Shamayim, they wouldn't want to swear, even if it's a derabanan. Most of the Rishonim hold that derabanan. You have to be you have to hold on to the Torah. Um,
No,
it's a serious oath.
Yeah, person swears first, and if he's here of Shemaim, you won't want to swear. Question is, and therefore, based on the fact that they asked the question, which one swears first, it must be that automatically, if he has to, if he uses to swear and said he'll pay, case closed now. The other guy doesn't have to swear.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Exactly. Yeah.
Was there such thing in the days of your as second-hand value? I mean, if someone lent a kli, a frying pan or pot, whatever, and they paid 100 for it, he's claiming that 100 back, isn't he? As opposed to the second-hand value, you may have had it for 5 years, but may have been worth only 25, for example.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. We're going to discuss that in the Gemara in 2 more days, Namdal and days, about whether you get to use that collateral when it's in your possession. Because we're going to see that may be a mitzvah to use it, even because the guy doesn't have money, and by using it, you whittle down the value a little bit, and you're lowering the oath, perhaps the debt, and at the same time he gets back the actual thing. That's an interesting thing. I wouldn't have thought that. I think I'm giving you this. Don't use this.
Okay.
Don't touch this. It's like a bikadon you don't touch. Right. Right. So I don't know. Yeah.
You put it aside.
Right.
You must not use it.
Right.
You use it.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. On Sunday we'll see Rashi. Rashi.
He's used it for God knows how many years, right? And he's put a value on it to say a pot is after 5 years, if anyone's for 100 shekels, exchange it, he loses it, swears sure he lost it, he's claiming it 100 shekels for the pot.
Okay, that's
No, it's not worth it. It's only worth that.
That's where you've got an argument on the value of the item lent, which is part of what we're discussing here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Come into that.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, as they say. Okay. Okay, so we continue. Let me just adjust the screen here. Okay. So we're up to Amr Shmuel. It's about halfway down, a little bit less. The first word in the line is Happy Kadon. There's a little gimel. The second word is Amr. Amr Shmuel is a little gimel there with a bracket, parentheses. Okay. So now we were always assuming all along, like it says in the Mishnah, it says, if you give a mashkon, a collateral of 100, and the loan was for 50, so you lose the collateral, it only deducts 50. It's not like collateral automatically equals the loan, even if they're not equal. The value of the collateral is against that value within the loan. It can be more, it can be less. That's what very clearly implied from Mishnah, right? But let's take a look at Shmuel. Shmuel's going to say something. We need clarity, clarification. Okay, so Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says the following case. Apparently, Paskin is too. As the osfe alpha zuzin lechabre. The person who lent 1,000 zuz to his friend. That's a large loan, very large loan, a lot of money. Umashkin le, and he took a collateral of kata de magla, as Rashi says, kata besia, the handle of a mago. I think as like a round sickle, like a round thing you harvest with. Yeah, sickle. It's it's like round, like a handle, and then like a half moon kind of thing. Yeah, it's like sickle. Okay. He lent 1,000 zuz, a lot of money, to his friend, and in his collateral, mashkin, he gave him as a collateral, kata de magla, the handle of a sickle, which is worth maybe 1/2000th, not even. It's a tiny fraction of it. So you would assume, and I would assume, that if he loses that handle, then that subtracts, he only owes 999.98 zuz, right? But no, that's not what he says. Avad kata the magla avad alpha zuze. If he loses the handle, he lost it, then it cancels out the whole loan. He loses out the 1,000 zuz, right? That seems to imply that the collateral is given as a total security. Like this is the equivalent. I am agreeing. I'm talking about I agree, I don't agree. We're going to have some more details here at the end. It's like you're saying this is equal to this, whatever it's worth. It's a few cents, but a pence or a groot, but it's equal. Okay, let's continue.
It must be that without the handle.
I know what he's giving him. It's a used paper cup, you know.
It's worthless.
It has some value. It's firewood, presumably. It has some value.
Why am I holding this handle? I lent some money.
He's not holding the handle, he's holding the sickle.
No.
The handle was long.
No. He lent him. The collateral was the handle. It's just the handle. Yeah, and it sounds weird. Yeah, the base yard. He lent him the kata.
It's purely established. I did then.
Right. We're going to talk about that. There's a concept of a reminder at the very end today. We'll talk about the mashkon says as a reminder. Let's see this.
So then it's obvious because it's such a low value.
Right.
That it's obvious that it's just a reminder. It's not.
Well, we'll see. It's complicated. It's going to get complicated. At this point, it seems to be, just bear in mind, it seems not to fit with the mission. We'll see. That's what Gemara is going to ask. Okay. Avad kata, avad pagos. Aval tarti katasi, don't pronounce that, katate, low. But if his collateral, he's a generous guy, instead of one handle, he gave him two handles. He loses one, that doesn't cancel on because both, according to Shmuel, both handles are a package deal. The package of the collateral. If you lose one, it's still intact. You haven't lost the entirety of the value of the loan yet. Rav Nachman Amar, the details aren't so important. The general concept is important. They are important, but for us, we'll say, Rav Nachman Amar, afilu tarti kati avad chada avad chamesh mea, avad idach avad chulei. Rav Nachman says, no, even if he lent the collateral is two handles, he loses one, each is representative of half the loan. If you lose one, you lose half the value of the loan, 500. You lose the second one, in other words, both, then you've lost the whole loan. Aval, but if his collateral is kata v'naska, a sickle handle, got that right, and a nascha, and a piece of silver, we've had that before, low, that would not be. Because then it's clear from that the two items he's giving him is to represent the entire loan, but it's not 50-50 there, that's clear. Even within we're saying, whatever they're worth, they're equal to the loan. But if you give something insignificant and something very significant, it's clear that it's not half-half represented. In Narada, they said, afilu kata v'nascha, even if it's a handle of a sickle and a piece of silver, avad nascha, avad palga. If you lose even in that case, you gave two items and you're representing them to represent the entire loan. Each one, even though they're drastically different in price, each one represents the half of the loan in its full. Avad palga, avad naska. I'm sorry. Afilu kata v'nascha, avad naska. If you lose the silver, avad palga, you lose half, not 90%. Avad kata, you lose the handle, avad kula, and you've lost all of it. You lose both, and you lose the whole loan. So at this point, we have a concept that the loan, a lot of details here, but the nakuda that we want to focus on is the fact that irrespective of the value of the collateral, it's according to Shmuel, it represents the entire loan. I don't want to say that they agree that we'll see that in a second, but it seems to be representing the entire value of the loan. And that seems to run in the face of our Mishnah, what the Gemara is about to ask right now. As our Mishnah said, you give 100 shekel take a 100 shekel loan, the collateral is 50, and he loses it, we don't say, well, you're done, that's it, you lost the collateral, lost the loan. We say, no, let's talk about the difference. What 50-50 doesn't sound like it represents the whole loan. But we'll continue. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah just before. The second case, the Mishnah, Sela Havisicha. I lent you a Sela, read it properly. On Sela Havisicha Allah, the Shekel Hayashava. I lent you a Sela and the collateral for it was 1 shekel, half. Allah Amar, that's what the lender claims. Allah and the loan and the borrower, Omer lo. No, that's not the case. Ki ela Sela Visani, Allah, the Shlosha Dinarim Hayashava. No, he says the loan, as you said, was 100, and there was only the collateral was only, let's say, 75. Chayiv, he has to take a loan. Leimalei. Why are they arguing back and forth the value? What are you talking about? Leimalei hakablite. You should tell him you accepted it. You received the collateral. The collateral is for the value of the whole loan, like we said, like Shmuel said. There's nothing to talk about. You say, I lost your collateral. They said, okay, go home, that's it, we're done. Irrespective of the value. What are we talking values according to Shmuel? Shmuel said, between.
The understanding is that the collateral equals the value of the loan.
That's what it seems to be. We're going to clarify it exactly in a minute, with a little more subtlety, but yeah, we'll talk about that.
You have, unless something specified, the assumption is the base din looks at the value of what you gave him, the value of that. That's where we start.
Oh, that's going to be the answer, and it's going to be a machlokas between Rashi and Rabbeinu Chananel and Tosa and Rabbeinu Tam on the other side. Yeah, where is the starting point? What's the assumption and what's the addition? We're going to get to that in a moment.
Yeah. When you get a borrower lender, the lender that's collateral gives him money. Is he guarded as a paid show amount or an unpaid show amount?
Okay, so that's going to be tomorrow. We're going to talk about also. There's a lot of detail. That's very good. Good question. That's going to be that we're going to have a brisa here. We're going to try to understand the brisa next. And from that brisa, we have to figure out what's the status of this guy. Like when you go to Avedas and what's the status. It's going to be interesting. I would say like super challenging, but it's going to work your brain a little bit. Work my brain. Yeah. Okay. That's it. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. So what's the difference? So we answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines from the bottom. I'm just going to adjust the screen. Last round of the line, must listen. Yeah. Highlight the rest of the page. That's okay. So we say Mas Nisin, our Mishnah, with the parish is where he specified Shmuel, but the low parish. Now I'm going to explain it like Rashi says. Rashi says, let me read Rashi first, second to last Rashi. Eno mikablo alai is what he says. Ella, the lender, Ella by achrayus doma b'shavia. I'm only, he specifies in the Mishnah that, in the Mishnah he specifies, he says, I'm only accepting achrayus and responsibility and the equivalence of this for the value of the mashkon. The mashkon itself. I'm not equating the two. And he says specifically in the Mishnah, says the Gemara, that's why it's worth less. If he doesn't specify, like in Shmuel's case, the default, says Rashi, is that the mashkon you give is the equivalent for the loan, irrespective of the two values. This can be worth 5, this can be worth 1,000. This could be 100, this could be 200. That's the default. And since it wasn't specified by Shmuel, if you lose one, you accepted it. You said, I'll take this as collateral. That means you accept this as an exchange for the actual loan. You should be smart and get something equal or more. You didn't. You're accepting it. But in order, if you don't want that to be the case, you have to specify it, says Rashi. You have to say, I'm taking this as collateral, but only up to the value of the actual collateral against the loan. In other words, the loan is 100 and you're giving something at 50. I'm only taking achrayus on this to 50. It only is going to be against 50. It's not a 50. It's not a 1-to-1 exchange. It's only collateral for that amount. I take it as a collateral, as a guarantee, as a reminder, as we'll discuss, but it's not an actual a perfect exchange. But it's only if you specify it. That's how Rashi is learning it. The default is collateral equals loan, irrespective of values. Now Tosos disagrees. The last Tosos says Rabbeinu Hananel Goris Ipcha. He has a different version, different girsa in the Gemara. Ipcha. Rabbeinu Tam. And so says Rabbeinu Tam. Umuki the Shmuel with the parish, and they established that Shmuel's case is when he specified the ein sfar lahafsid l'milva kol chova legami ech de lo parish. So in other words, according to Tosfos, the case is Shmuel's case is when he was parish. The default, according to Rabbeinu Chananel and Rabbeinu Tam Tosfos, is that if you don't specify, you just take a collateral. It's only obviously, they say, that's what it seems obvious to them. It's only up to the value of the collateral. You're not canceling the loan. It's not one for one. It's not a complete exchange for the loan. If you specify it, which was Shmuel's case, says Rabbeinu Tam and Rabbeinu Chananel, if you specify, yes, I'll take this loan, this collateral for the full value of the loan, then it becomes the full value of the loan. If you don't specify, then you're only taking responsibility up to the value of the item. It doesn't completely cancel the loan. So according to Rashi, the default is that whatever the collateral you give is equal to the loan, irrespective of their actual values. If you specify that's not the case, then it's not the case. And that's our Mishnah. According to Tosfos, Rabbeinu Chananel, and Rabbeinu Tam, if you don't specify it, we don't assume that you're giving him a 10 shekel collateral to cancel out the 1,000 shekel loan. No, if you specify that, as Shmuel was saying, then that would work. But if you don't specify, we don't assume that. That's the distinction between the two. But anyway, seems to be the different distinction between the two cases. I mean, logic, in my limited knowledge, for me, it would seem, because I was born and raised in America, so I was born with a thing called a sense of fairness. Everything has to be fair, everything has to be fair. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Maybe it's more there. And it's also the concept of like somebody has to pay. The concept of suing in America is very strong. There has to be someone responsible. If someone tripped and fell, someone has to pay. There has to be someone who can point the finger to. One of my brothers, he during break from yeshiva, during lunch, they went to play basketball in the local courts. So the local court had some metal sticking up, and he fell and really got cut pretty bad. Fortunately, there's nothing permanent, but they had stitches and physical therapy. So they sued the city. He got a lawyer, and they settled out of court for quite a bit. Surprisingly, so somebody has to pay. Somebody has to be at fault. I didn't want my brother to get hurt. The last thing I want, but it could be that God orchestrated this thing. It just could be. It was obviously from Hashem. But as a Western concept, someone has to be at fault. Right. Right.
Stumbling block.
Right.
But you pay out big things like that. How much is worth an arm shot? That's all it is. Some people say, okay, I'll go for that. That's what I'm going to get out of it. It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. Is important.
Winnebago. Remember the Winnebago?
The RV, recreational vehicle, big ones.
Yeah. It's the thing that.
Yeah.
So it's a classic case in America.
Yeah.
That a woman, she bought a Winnebago.
Uh-huh.
And she's driving down the highway. She's hungry. He said she put it on cruise control. She went back to make a peanut butter sandwich. And of course, it went off the road. It's over. Anyways, so they sued the Winnebago company. She went out and made a peanut butter sandwich. She left the wheel. What do we have to do? Because you didn't write in the instructions, don't leave the wheel. So because in American lawsuit you have that idea of fairness. It's not that makes someone like this suffer their whole life, destroy their life, cost a few cents on all the other Winnebagos that they're going to sell. It's worth it for us to pass it out to you. It's worth.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that programming. So, because that's the opinion of Shmuel. Shmuel holds that it's a discussion whether he specified that it is to be equal to the collateral to be equal to the loan, or that's the default that it be equal to the loan. But that's the opinion of Shmuel, that if you lend 100,000 sous against a tiny little handle of a sickle, for example, that cancels the loan if it's lost because you agree to it, or maybe that's the default. So the Gemara wants to say that that's actually this. What Shmuel said is actually a machlokas tanoim. It's a discussion, machlokas, an argument in the tanoim. That's with regard to what Shmuel said. So here we are. It's 9 lines in the 8 lines in the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. End of the line. Lema k'tanai. Little bays there in parentheses. Lema k'tanai. Really, this is the machlokas. What Shmuel's talking about is a machlokas tanoim. Hamalva. This is where is it in Bab Metzia? Hamalva is chavera ala mashkon. A person lends his friend alamash with a mashkon. He lends him money, but he takes the collateral. V'avada mashkon, and then loses the collateral. Okay. Yeshava v'yitol es ma'osa. He takes an oath, and the borrower would say, let's just leave it at that. Complicated with all the factors we said before. V'yitol es ma'osa. Yishba. I'm sorry, the lender. Yishba v'yitol es ma'osa, and he takes the money here. So it's very vague, and we're going to have to explain it on the next page. But let's just say, for argument's sake at this point, so we can just make it work and flow through, the case is when the collateral was worth 200, the loan is for 200, and the collateral is worth 100, and he swears, like we said, the loaner is the one who swears, and then he gets his 100 shekel difference. Let's just say it like that. We're going to ask questions on back and forth, but let's just say for argument's sake at this point, that's the case. That the borrower is 200, the loan is 200, the collateral is 100, he swears. He just doesn't touch it, the other guy swears its value, whatever. Let's just say, and he gets the money. He swears, and the malva, the loaner, gets the difference in the money. That sounds like a lot like our Mishnah, right? Not like Shmuel. Shmuel said that whatever the value of the mashkon, whatever the value of the collateral is, it cancels the loan. There's no more money to talk about. Rabbi Akiva says, Yochel hu sheyomer lo. He could say, Klum hilbisani ela ala mashkon. The borrower could say, didn't I lend you on the basis of a collateral? The collateral is supposed to take the place of that loan, irrespective of its value. Avad mashkon, avad moaska. You lost the collateral. You lost your coins. You lost your money. That's it. That sounds a lot like Shmuel, that the collateral, irrespective, takes a place. Yeah. So it seems like the machlokas between this, what they're saying, it's a machlokas whether within Shmuel, like the Rav Kiva would hold like Shmuel, and Rabbi Eliezer would not hold like Shmuel. But we'll see. There's going to be discussion. I just said a way to make it work. At least the way it worked for now. Okay. Aval. There's another important point. Third to last line on the page. Aval. I'll highlight it. I didn't do a perfect job, but okay. Aval hamalva. It's a continuation in this brisa. It's a brisa. It's a Mishnah. I don't know. Aval hamalva elav zuz bishtar. A person lends 100 zuz. I get a lot of money. Bishtar with a contract. V'niach mashnon, and he also gives a collateral. In other words, the lender lent 1,000 zuz to the borrower, and they had a a contract with witnesses, but he also took a collateral. To make sure, a guy could admit, I owe you, I know you owe, but I don't have 1,000 zuz. So he wants to make sure he's got something. Biyado divrei akol avad hamashkon avad ma'osa. Everyone agrees that if he lost the mashkon, he loses the actual thing. Why? Rashi will explain later, in the next page, that in that case, since he took both a collateral and a contract, it's clear that the purpose of the mashkon is not just as a reminder or something else, just to make things work, make sure it gets done, because he has a shtar. The mashkon must be, invariably in that case, as an exchange for the actual value. It must be, even Rabbi Eliezer would agree in that case. That's how we're learning that.
So, what is the difference between that and a star and the borrower and lender giving a pair of candlesticks worth 200 shekels, for example, and they're lost.
Right.
According to Eliezer, if he's handed them over the two witnesses, which is stronger than the star, right, then Eliezer says, got to give the money back.
Right. There's a little caveat here, and that is since he gave both a star and he gave both a contract and a collateral, that's like double. Why is he doubling his what he's doing? The reason must be that the star, the contract, is there to assure, and that's to make sure that there's a remembrance and there's assurance. And it is stronger, but by the fact that he also gave a collateral, that shows that he is accepting what the Mishnah said, or Bryce said, is that it's showing that he's giving a collateral in exchange for the value. This is what Rashi says.
Eliezer says he has to give the money back.
According to Rabbi Eliezer, you would normally have to give back, but not in this case, because the mashkon, he did something extra to show that he's showing that he wants the collateral to be equated to the actual loan. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to give a mashkon. In fact, I could argue with it. This is how Rashi says. This is what the Mishnah says. Well, you could say, oh, I can have a svara opposite. You would say, well, the star is there also. He wanted a lot of protection. It's a lot of money. Right? A lot of money. So he took a mashkon also, not necessarily to the value, but to take something. But you would say, if he's so worried, he should take something of that value. Perhaps the guy didn't have something of that value. That's what they say. So right.
The most understanding of the mission is that there is this assumption that when you have a collateral, it must at least equal value of the loan. Otherwise, it doesn't really stack up.
Right.
This is where we're at the moment.
Right. There's something off.
You have to have some basis.
Right.
I know that when the grocery store, you go to a home, they always give you less than that. They look at it, on your watch, on a ring. Yeah?
Right.
They always give you less than its value, because they know in many cases people just want to sell something.
Right.
And so the person takes the money, the pawnbroker ends up with it. They have a star as well.
Right.
And then if you don't redeem the item, right, then it goes in the shop. They make a profit.
No, but here they didn't evaluate the value.
Well, it got lost. So he's claiming, yeah.
That would be simple. Because they evaluated it, they got the evaluation, they both know it.
Yeah, but to hear
But that's not our case.
if they hit also, the example they're giving an extreme case, someone lent 1,000 goods against the city of Hamburg. Everybody knows.
Right.
That this is not, all it is there for is an aid memoir in the absence of a star. It's that's all it's for. And if that was the intention of the party, then why shouldn't that be the case? But the might say no, even if it was just as an aid memoir, with a star. The stand is when you lend money, you have a collateral, and then the collateral has to equal the loan. I mean, if you just lend money and that on the person's good name, that's a separate organ.
It doesn't have
You're
to
better
be.
off in that way. But lending money without collateral.
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the value. If he accepts it, he accepts it. Now, our question is, did he accept it as being the full value or not?
Yeah, but the Gemara's stand is, yes, he's accepting this as a token. It is a token of value, but the lender is accepting full value.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's best to discount a star. I then sign on the no collateral. You're better off. And you collect the whole amount. Right, the guy hasn't got the wherewithal. That's his life. We know that happens.
Yeah. Baruch? Oh, come later.
So what happens if the borrower, I buy that cup, I go through that cup, which is worth 100 shekels. You gave me the 100 shekels, right?
Yeah.
I want my gold cup back, right? For example.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give you the 100, give you a cutback, right? I've got 100 shekels. What happens if I lose the money, the borrower loses the money?
The borrower?
Yeah, the borrower loses.
No.
There's no comeback on that?
No.
Can he swear?
No, the borrower was given money and he has to give back different money, not like the same money.
Now, for
No.
example, you've
Live
got
below
my
it's on
car,
it. Yeah.
and I borrowed, I've only got 100 shekels to my name. The whole wide world, I've got another 100 shekels. I go out to the shop where I've got the money and holding a shekel in my hand, a piece of wind comes, whoosh, 100 shekel goes flying.
Yeah.
Right? I've got no other money. He can't swear at all.
No. Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. So just
So it's all on the lender.
yeah. Okay, just a couple things. We'll hold it here. Tomorrow, we're actually the very last time we discussed. I said the case is where the value, the mashkon and the collateral on the loan were not the same, and we're going to discuss in this last case whether it is. That's will take us. But just I think we're going to next masechta we're going to do is ksuvos. Ksuvot. That's the next we're going to do. Moving to nashim. Ksuvot. That's what it looks like now. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. And also, not this Sunday, but I think it may be the following.
Go on.
Yeah, yeah. That's all right, catch it.
They just went through the kitchen.
Sorry.
No, right. So not this Sunday. The following Sunday, I may not be here. I have to see. There may be a chance. I'll see if I can work things out. But okay.
So what are we doing after this?
Tuvot.
Marriage contract.
Yeah.
Forgot about it.
No, I didn't give it to her. The rabbi gave it to her.
You gave it to her. You gave it to her. You certainly did. Thank you.
Sign of it.
I just agreed to it.